Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of The Dark Knight, the second film in the Dark Knight trilogy, and the sixth of the Batman films since 1989. So if you're doing Batman films since then it's the sixth. It's the seventh if you start from 66. There's one or two before the 66 one, which is a spin-off from the show, but, you know, let's just focus on the particular eras of Batman, in which case this is number 2 of the Dark Knight trilogy. So after the magnificent Batman Begins, how does Christopher Nolan and the production team follow up such a brilliant film? By making one of the best films of all time, of course, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is pretty perfect on every level. I have to say, I wasn't so keen on the ending to start with when I first watched it. However, over time, realised that it's super necessary, especially for what comes later with the third film. It's basically, this is the instalment of the trilogy where things have to get worse for the characters before they can get better again. In terms of the films, though, this is the peak. So they managed to do this side of the story super amazingly. So the plot of The Dark Knight is that there's this crazy guy who's just decided that he's going to cause anarchy and chaos in Gotham. He's going to try and either attempts to kill, but not really try and kill the Batman. He's just going to cause a little anarchy, and he's not really got a plan. He's just ahead of the curve. But he's trying to cause lots and lots of problems. He's going to try and kill lots of people, and he's trying to mess with Batman, as well as Harvey Dent, the new DA, and Jim Gordon, who later becomes the commissioner in this film after the other commissioner dies, basically. And this man is, of course, the Joker. Heath Ledger is outstanding as the Joker. He's probably the best. I still love Jack Nicholson's portrayal in the 1989 one, but Heath Ledger is just... oh, he's so good. He's so fucking good. His performance is outstanding. He's easily the best thing in the film. And, you know, I would love to have seen a bit more from him, you know. Yeah, even before his... sadly, the actor did die, but he did finish all of his scenes beforehand, so that's cool. He managed to win himself a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I think the acting in this film is also a step up from the previous film. Everyone is bringing their games. Christian Bale is back as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and he's amazing. Michael Caine is back. He's better than ever as Alfred. Gary Oldman as Gore, later Commissioner Gordon. Maggie Gyllenhaal, I don't think he's quite as good as Katie Holmes as Rachel, but I think she does a good job with her scene. She does a very good job. I think she's also taller. I think a little taller than Katie Holmes. She also, spoiler alert, dies halfway through. Halfway to 3/5, and that's part of the Joker's plan, because now she's in a relationship with Harvey Dent, and that's one thing I'll say. There isn't a huge development of the relationship between Rachel and Harvey, but there is. I'm not going to hold the film against that, because it does still work. It still works. Dent is magnificently played by Aaron Eckhart. He does an amazing job as Dent, both when he's being the Gotham's White Knight and later when he becomes Two-Face. And besides, I think Two-Face is only one of there's 4 villains that were in the Burton Schumacher films that have been transferred into the Dark Knight trilogy. The Joker, Two-Face, Catwoman, and not Scarecrow. He was going to be in the 5th one, though. And Payne, although slightly differently. But those last 2 I'll get back to in the Dark Knight Rises review. And Scarecrow, already talked about in the Begins one. Batman Begins review. But here, both the Joker and Two-Face are just magnificent villains. I don't think the Two-Face has as much to do as a foil for Batman as much as the Joker, but he's still, but again, still needed the Scarecrow to Ra's al Ghul. But I still think it's magnificent. And Morgan Freeman is once again amazing as Lucius Fox, and I think everyone's just does an amazing performance. The only thing is, he resigns at the end of this film, but somewhere in the 8 years between here and Dark Knight Rises, he takes up another position at Wayne Enterprises, and maybe he just decides to come back afterwards. The action is outstanding, and it looks like there's a lot of practical effects, again with Batman Begins, and also with Dark Knight Rises. It looks like they use a huge mix of practical effects alongside the visual ones, and CGI. It just looks so good and really well executed. The cinematography is outstanding. Fun fact, the scenes shot at the start were apparently the first 6 minutes with the Joker's bank robbery with his thugs. That was apparently the first time we got to see IMAX cameras shoot a film, and it looks fucking stunning. It is so beautiful. It looks so good. And it doesn't stop there. The visuals, the cinematography looks beautiful in pretty much every single scene. This is something that's been carried over throughout each of the 3 films. It's Christopher Nolan and his cinematographer or cinematographers know how to shoot a film. Even the smaller scenes have some great cinematography. It just looks so amazing. Yeah, this is another gushing over the Dark Knight review, but can you blame it? I don't really have anything wrong with it, apart from maybe Harvey and Rachel could have had a little bit more romantic development. And I didn't used to be so keen on the ending, but I'm absolutely fine with it now because I know what's coming next and how it ties in, how this element of the story ties in with the entire trilogy. It just works on so many levels. It also works really well as its own standalone film. This was the first one of the 3 I did watch and saw twice before. Well, in full, saw in full once in parts before that, but I saw the other 2 after seeing this one, so it was still really brilliant. But watching it in order, both twice, I've seen them in order twice, it is magnificent and it's amazingly placed. It just works on so many levels and it's just an amazingly executed film. So yeah, The Dark Knight, I'm going to give it a, well, what do you think? A 10 out of 10. If you guessed that, then you would be correct. Goodness, this is such an amazing film. I totally recommend it. Even if you're not keen on Batman or superhero films or whatever, this is you definitely need to watch this one. Even if you're not going to watch the other 2 films, which I do recommend. I do recommend you check out the entire trilogy. They are long films, especially the last one, but necessarily so, I think. But the stories that they're telling anyway. I can also see why there's lots of complaints about the violence in this film. This is a super violent film, without much blood and gore of it. So that's why it just about passes at 12. 12 rating by the BBFC, 12A. In Ireland, it was a 15. In America, it was PG-13, so that's around the 12A mark anyway. So, yeah, I could see why a lot of people get upset about the amount of violence in it. And apparently, they managed to get the PG-13 age rating by not having many people drinking, no smoking, little to no sex or nudity, but they still had quite a lot of violence and not gory scenes, but scary imagery. A little bit of gore, I suppose, with Harvey Dent's face being, well, that is some seriously fantastic makeup and visual effects right there on screen, working together to create such a great look for Harvey Dent. More than makes up for what we got in Batman Forever over a decade before. So, yeah, that's one thing. And for another thing, it looks super real, and this is some of the pretty gory and scary imagery. How you can pretty much see part of the skull in there. It looks absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, and the makeup and the costume for the Joker just also looks really good as well. I mean, they had some great makeup and costume for the Joker in 1989's Batman, but this one, they just make him look more of a human, more of a mad, insane human than well, he's pretty much insane in Batman, but he still kept the control of it, whilst here he is off the edge, he's off his rocker. And, you know, Heath Ledger, just yeah, I mean, he's the best thing in it. I have to keep coming back to him, just have to keep mentioning it. It's just so many great stuff, so many great scenes, and it just works so brilliantly. So, that's it from my review of The Dark Knight. Tune in next time where I will be reviewing The Dark Knight Rises, and I literally watched that film today at time of recording, which just the day after watching The Dark Knight, which was my at my film theory introduction to film theory screening of this week, week 7. So film 6 out of 8 of the subject, and also between the first 2 films of this trilogy on its own. But I was considering whether I should rewatch it as well, just for myself or not. And I thought, you know, I'll just watch the next one. Just watch the next one just to finish up the trilogy. Just because it's the first one was so good the last time around. But I thought better to move on. So I managed to watch part 3 today at time of recording. So next film review will be The Dark Knight Rises. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. I'm going to have to turn my light on quickly. I know I'm reviewing The Dark Knight and I've just turned my light on, but yeah, I think you guys would be able to see me better with the light on. So the plot of The Dark Knight is the Joker has decided that he's going to cause anarchy. No, I'm just going to start here. Heath Ledger... So... So 6 out of 8 film. 6 out of 8 film.